Sox. This will be our Domino's first pitch of the game. Showing bunt, and it's foul. Strike one, and that's how we started. Crisp can fly, and he plays center field for this team and began his major league career with the Cleveland Indians back in 2002. He was originally drafted by the Cardinals. 7th round of the 1999 draft, was in Johnson City, then New Jersey, Peoria, and Potomac, and then wound up getting traded for Chuck Finley in that stretch drive for the Cardinals. Crisp went to the Indians, and Finley got traded to St. Louis.
He's had a nice major league career, and he's a threat to steal when he reaches base.
With 20 steals last year in Boston. 1 ball, 1 strike. Normal day's rest, and back in order here for Kyle Loesch.
I think the most important thing, Dan, is that he had a bullpen session, a normal bullpen session in between his start on Monday after 2 shutout innings a week ago Friday that was washed out.
Popped up and out of play. The stadium still filling up. We had a big crowd, over 40,000 here last night.
This is a sellout tonight. This afternoon is going to be standing room only. Big crowd on Tony La Russa pennant day.
Crisp last year with Boston at .283, 7 home runs, 41 RBIs. And this is popped up and playable. Foul territory for the Cardinals. And there's one away as Barton has it.
Good pitch right there. Got in on his hands. Get the pop up.
Here's a left fielder, David DeJesus.
In interleague play, DeJesus has the highest American League batting average. Of course, Albert has the highest all-time. Former Cardinal and Rockies, Larry Walker, and then DeJesus.
DeJesus selected in the 4th round back in 2000 by Kansas City. Had a career year in the Royals outfield a season ago. Personal best in average, hits, RBIs, steals, home runs. He had a very solid year. Attended Rutgers University, but did not play. Had an injury and then eventually went into the draft. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cardinals playing very good baseball, and they start play today. Just 1 game out in the National League Central Division. Kansas City 4 games back in Detroit in the American League Central.
Wouldn't have thought of that after Monday's game, right?
The way things were going.
Shellacking that the Brewers put on the Cards.
We'll get the Brewers again on Monday. That's the first of 3, so we'll see them on Memorial Day. And I'm anticipating a completely different series just because the way that the pitching staff has come together. Let's hope. Here's a 2-1 pitch. Up the middle. And a base hit into center. Good effort there by Skip. Even if he comes up with it, probably can't make the play.
Not against DeJesus, but playing a little bit more in the hole. Vigorous run up the middle, and he dives for it. Ball gets underneath his glove. And as you said, if he's laying prone, has that ball in his glove, he's not going to be able to scramble to his feet and throw out DeJesus.
It was nice to hear in Mike Shannon's interview that Skip said, I'm finally starting to relax and enjoy this. That is a big difference from where he was at the beginning of spring training.
He was terrified because he didn't want to embarrass the pitching staff. He wanted to make or himself.
It's taken low by Billy Butler. 3 home runs, 20 RBIs. We saw him as a pinch hitter last night. More times than not, he'll serve as a DH, but also can play first base, and he's got to play the position here today in the National League Park.
Normally, a pitcher tries to set the tone and the pace of a game, and you can see all 3 of the Royals batters have stepped out trying to slow down Loesch. He's leaning. DeJesus is leaning.
He had 11 steals last year.
11 steals. He's been successful 1 out of 2 times in about 6 games. I think this is the 6th game before anybody has tried to challenge Molina.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. by Kyle Loge. A liner into right field. That'll be caught. Hit right on the button to Nick Stavanoa. Ball just jumped off his bat. Royal Blue, the runs the last 5 games. You see, last night they were shut out Thursday against Cleveland, which is 3. And this is a team that is 11th in the American League and 21st in the majors at just about 5 runs per game.
Their offensive numbers are very similar to the Cardinals, just slightly better. And they have the best pitching staff ERA-wise in the American League. There's no reason why this team can't win the Central Division.
Time called. Here's Jose Guillen. They've really gotten a little spark out of Callaspo, who has dropped down in the lineup here today. He's hitting .324, a couple of home runs, 16 RBIs, but they're missing right now Alex Gordon.
It's a big bat.
They've got Crisp and Tien and Butler and De Jesus. Mike Jacobs has been a spark for them with 20-plus RBIs. And I think since interleague play has started, this is definitely one of the better Royals teams that we've seen over the years.
Yes, and the last few years you could see a lot of young talent that was really exciting, but now they've played together a couple years and starting to make some hay.
There's a line shot right center. Rasmus over to get it with his good speed. Cardinals coming up in their half of the first at Busch, and there's no score. Tony La Russa pen a day here at the ballpark. A look at the Cardinals lineup. It's always shifting. Talking about Tony La Russa, Schumacher, Rasmus, and Pujols. Very good numbers in his career against Kansas City. Duncan, Stavanoa, Molina, Barden, Loge, and Tyler Green. So again, Tony La Russa using the pitcher batting 8th. Luke Hochevar, he's 6'5", 210 pounds, and the first overall pick back in 2006 for Kansas City.
His record this year is recalled on May the 10th from Omaha.
You see, first innings and the second inning has been a problem for him. He's a young guy. He'll be 26 in mid-September. The reason is they're just trying to have him relax, and once he gets settled in, they say watch out. But first couple of innings can be a little bit of a concern for Kansas City.
Well, it's kind of a problem when if the first couple innings are a concern, because he hasn't gone beyond the 4th.
You see his numbers this season with Omaha very good.
Yeah, Greinke-like at Omaha.
There's that high chopper hit to second. It's gloved, bobbled, and the play made though by Callaspo. A look at the Royals defensively. De Jesus, Crisp, and Guillen in the outfield. Tien Aviles, Callaspo, and Butler along the infield. Olivo, Mojiver, the battery here today for Kansas City.
Laspo, a good offensive player. They told me coming into this series that he's had a lot of trouble defensively. He's been charged with 3 errors, but they say around the second base area they just haven't had a lot of plays made.
One thing that they have said, and this is hit to short, Aviles up with it, is that if you get it into right or into center, so that side of the outfield, more times than not, because of the advanced scouting, what they're doing is taking the extra base on both Guillen and Crisp, and that is a cause of concern right now for Kansas City.
Trey Hillman, we'll take note of that. It's kind of a odd course to this major league scene, minor leagues. Many years, I think, with the Yankee organization before going over to Japan and making his name there, and coming to back to the United States and managing here in the big leagues.
He attended University of Texas Arlington. He played baseball there, and played over in the Japan's Pacific League, and then that's where he really, made his name as a manager over there. Finished in 4th place last season. 75 and 87 were the Kansas City Royals. Here's a 2-0 pitch to Pujols. Big gap in right center.
I was just thinking what you were talking about. Players have been taking advantage of right and center fielders' arms and getting extra bases. You might see an inside the Parker with Albert if that's the case.
Run right through the stop sign on his way to home. And there's a 2-out walk, and it brings in Duncan. Toyota Keys, a look at last night, the veterans and rookies for the Cardinals. How about the rookies really doing a nice job in this little winning streak for the Cardinals? In particular, guys like Rasmus, Tyler Green with a home run last night.
Savinoa got the big 2-out base, 2-run base hit in the first inning, but we were talking about in this lineup, there's nobody's going to pitch to Albert, and so the rookies do have to, do a bulk of the offense. Got to get Chris Duncan going, as he is in a bit of a tailspin. 2 for 16 on this homestand.
Hitting .256 overall. Check on Pujols.
Big lead out there for Albert.
I think he was going. Royals catchers have allowed 29 steals this year in 35 attempts.
Albert has 6 steals already in 7 attempts.
And a 1-0 pitch to Duncan. Pujols not running. 2 balls and no strikes. Stabeno on deck. Tony La Russa is going to have some decisions to make with these young players. And Keel is coming back. Ludwig is coming back.
I was erroneously saying a couple times earlier this week that Ludwig was eligible on Monday. It's not till the off day, and so his first game back will be the first game in the San Francisco series,
which will be Friday. Pujols a great jump and not even a throw from the catcher. Olivo, stolen base number 7 for Albert.
You want to walk me? I'll put myself in scoring position. How about that? Left too soon, got away with it, and he picks up his 7th steal. 7 of the 24 in 30 attempts.
And maybe that's part of the equation of what we were talking about a little earlier. 3-0 here on Duncan, to where if he struggles early on, put the pressure on him even more so. Start runners, steal bases.
Well, distracting.
Exactly.
Because you're out there, you're just really kind of concentrating on home plate. So should be able to get good jumps out there, take advantage. But on the other flip side of that, as a pitcher, if you've got 2 outs, that guy can steal second and third. If I get the hitter out, they can't score.
We see that. 13 pitches, only 3 strikes here in the first. Stabenoa.
What's wrong with that?
That's not good.
Oh,
that's not good. That's not what you want. Stabenoa with that first inning 2-out base hit last night. Gave the Cardinals a 2-0 lead. And that's taken outside. Here comes Mr. McClure with a quick visit here in the first.
He's classified as a sinking fastball pitcher, but instead of his ball really bottoming out, it really more slides and has trouble with have it within direction or in the strike zone.
Bob McClure finished up his major league career not too long ago, 1993. That's not that long ago, with the Florida Marlins.
When you have a starting pitcher that has thrown 11 balls and 3 strikes and has thrown 9 consecutive balls, you age quickly.
Cardinals 6-0 and Pujols steals a base. Hopefully let's see it 7-0 here.
Stavanoa can't duplicate one of those great gems that the starter had in the minor leagues was against Memphis.
1-0 pitch. And you would figure then that Stavanoa's got a little history here.
A little history, but doesn't mean, you know, he came up probably empty in that game, and he came up empty on that first swing.
Athletic family that he comes from. Father Brian played basketball with the Denver Nuggets late 70s. His mom played college basketball and volleyball at Southern Colorado.
Sister,
2-time All-American at Long Beach State, now plays professionally in Puerto Rico. And younger brother Dylan, a pitcher at Tennessee. And that's just foul. A hanging breaking ball. 2 strikes on Stavanoa. Some of that good luck of Albert Pujols may be rubbing off on Nick Stavanoa because he's using his bat.
Unless some of these guys,
smart move.
Some of the guys behind him, behind Albert, start doing something, that bat will not make too much contact in Albert's hands.
1-2 the count. Check swing, he held up. 2-2. Very slow paced at the start of this game. That's something that we've seen from the Cardinals starters, and I'm sure that's what Kansas City's talked about with stepping out, trying to control the pace of Loge and some of the other relievers that may come in today or tomorrow, and the starter tomorrow. The starter can really dictate the pace of a game.
Absolutely. I'll tell you whether it's going to be an offensive slugfest or if it's going to be a pitcher's duel. Got 2 right-handed pitchers out here, and you can see that Loge throws from the first base side while their starter throws from the third base side. Now the real advantage, or the good thing about this, is you see how much taller Klobuchar is than Loge, so there's no way that Kyle Loesch is going to fall into his landing area. If it created a hole there, it's not going to be a problem for him.
2-2. That's an interesting point, that landing area, and you know this better than most because you would come in the back end of games, that mound would be beat up.
They take so much better care of the mounds now, but you see, that's Loesch. This is the Royals starter on the left, and you know, but there's no minefield there. You know, if you can get into some games, and there'll be 6 or 7 different pitchers used before you get out there, and everybody has a different stride, they create a different hole, and you fall into their hole sometimes, and it really becomes, you're worried about not breaking an ankle instead of worrying about throwing strikes.
2-2 is a fair ball just inside that third base line. Stavanoa has done it again. 1-0 Cardinals. They're going to wave in Duncan. Throw to the plate. He's in there safe. And Stavanoa winds up at third. 2-0 Cardinals. Good at bat there by Nick Stavanoa.
Absolutely. Just kept on pulling ball after ball and finally got one inside the chalk line beyond the dive of Tion and then all the way down in the left field corner. So not only does Albert score, but Duncan's coming around, and then the throw gets away from the catcher. It's offline, and that allows Stavinola to go to third base.
And Albert was wanting more.
Yeah, he wanted more. There you see. Duncan coming across the plate for the second consecutive night or day game. Night and day game.
There you go.
Stavinola is delivered a 2-run single in the first inning.
Well, that is big. Those 2 out RBI base hits, and it comes after a pair of walks. So the 2 walks come around to score. Let's see if Molina can continue. 1 ball, 1 strike. 22 pitches already for this right-hander here in the first.
Molina really struggling. 3 for his last 27. 2 for 18 on the road trip, or on the homestand, excuse me.
Strike 2. Busch Stadium is absolutely packed here today. It's really filled up here in the last 5 or 10 minutes.
It's 4-H day also. So you see a lot of the youngsters out there with white t-shirts. And yeah, there's a sample of some out in right field. Those are 4-H'ers. And a bunch over in the left field section too.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Molina. Ground ball hit to first, taken there by Butler. He'll step on the bag. Stavinola is stranded at third, but he delivers again with a 2-out base hit. After 1, 2-0 Cardinals. All the action on your computer at MLB.tv. Over 100 live out-of-market games per week. MLB.tv. The eye is out. Ouch. My eye. That was put in for folks that didn't see it yesterday following the mammoth home run by Albert Pujols 2 nights ago. And LeBron James last night. If you haven't seen that, his last second heroics for Cleveland. And then the night before, Pujols taking the eye out of Big Macland. 2 pretty impressive feats with 2 great athletes.
I hate to say this, but LeBron James was, I think, with 1 second, and under the circumstances, might have been a little more impressive.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Chopped off the plate. Loge gets it, races to the bag, and beats Tiem to it for the first out. Was talking with your buddy and mine, Kenny Reitz, and he was saying it was the hardest hit ball he's ever seen. The home run by Pujols the other night, and it got out in a hurry.
I can't say that.
I thought some of the ones that McGuire hit were.
I've got to say the one off of Livan Hernandez and off the Post Dispatch sign, you know, in the suite level in the third deck at Old Busch Stadium in dead center field was a little more impressive. And more than about 140 feet further than Albert's.
Coca-Cola Cabana at the old Busch Stadium 2, on a Sunday night. McGuire one time, and it was just to the left of where the black backdrop is for the batter's eye. Pretty much where that BJC Better Health sign is in left center, and McGuire essentially put one over that. And a lot of people didn't talk about that one because it never hit off anything. It just went right through it.
So they didn't realize where it ended up or that it went over it.
Exactly. Now Pujols has been close to getting a couple out of this stadium. A grand slam against the Cubs comes to mind a few Saturdays ago. And he has always hit Kansas City so well. This is something he looks forward to.
He's the #1 hitter in all of baseball in interleague play, but most of that damage against his hometown.
2 balls, 2 strikes. We talked about it last night, though. You got to give the Royals a little credit. They're starting to spend some money. Their payroll will be roughly around $70 million this year. It's never been that high.
And I'm looking forward to going over to Kansas City and see the renovations that they've done to their beautiful park. They put about $250 million into the park, and a lot of it is for amenities for the fans.
They say it looks great.
Yeah.
2-2 the count. The Royals also have taken chances now in the draft. For instance, the Eric Hosmer is a first baseman they drafted last year. They gave him $6 million, which was over the baseball suggested $3 million slot. So they went $3 million over that to get him.
High school kid? Or?
High school kid. But he was rated as the best high school hitter. It's really risk reward when you talk about high school kids as opposed to drafting those college athletes. 3-2 is popped up. Shallow center. Colby Rasmus with the shades on has it for the second out.
That was one of the things when Drayton Moore left the Atlanta Braves organization to take over for Kansas City and become their general manager. He got a commitment from ownership that they were going to spend some money.
Well, Baseball Prospectus just had their mock draft, which doesn't get nearly the exposure, obviously, of what the NFL draft is all about. This is Miguel Olivo. And there's 3 local pitchers that seem to be in really good shape to do some damage in that draft. They've got Westminster Christian Academy's Jacob Turner, projected to go 6th. Missouri pitcher Kyle Gibson, projected to go 4th to the Pirates. And then you have Aaron Crow, who was drafted by Washington last year, didn't sign, went to independent ball, and he's now projected to go 11th to the Rockies. So all high picks. Apparently the Westminster kid, Jacob Turner, threw a bullpen here today, and he is represented, I believe, or will be, by Scott Boras.
I don't know if
he's a family advisor right now.
I was going to say, it used to be, and I wasn't sure if it changed, but you can have an agent.
You can have a family advisor. That's right.
Who just happens to be sitting in the next room.
It happens to be a super agent.
Well,
2-2.
Slider.
And hammered out to left. Diving for it. Duncan couldn't come up with it. Olivo on his way to second base. Great effort out there by Duncan. Came up about a half-foot shy.
Ball was hit so hard that I don't know, leaving his, if he did not leave his feet, it was going to change the outcome. So as a pitcher, you appreciate somebody trying to make the exceptional diving catch. Right. Comes up short, but just look at his approach. He would have had to run back to the wall and get that ball if he tried to catch it staying on your feet. So it wasn't going to change. It was going to be a double either way.
And now they've got Aviles, who's really been a disappointment. They go over the signs now with a runner at second base. He was the Royals Player of the Year a season ago, and this year he's hitting just 188, 1 home run, 8 RBIs, and his defense has not been as good as they've seen in the past.
He hit 325 in his rookie season and winning that Player of the Year, but batting 135 for his last 37 at bats.
And a check swing and a strike. The defense today, you've got Tyler Green and Skip Schumacher up the middle. And for the most part, Cardinals try to be a pitch-to-contact staff, get ground balls. When Brendan Ryan is out there with Tyler Green, you really got a nice little combination up the middle. Not to take anything from Schumacher, he's still trying to learn the position.
Right. Look at Aviles, the way he bats. Now, last year he did a lot of damage. You came up against the Cardinals, and he's got the very high batting where he holds his bat. And when you're struggling, there is so much movement just to get to the ball.
Craig Counsell comes to mind.
Comes to mind, but but not the way you would teach somebody to hold their bat, because it's not the short compact stroke getting to the ball. Look at where he's got to go.
A 2-1 pitch. Fly ball, center field. Rasmus will back up and make the catch. Kansas City strands a runner. Midway through 2-0 Cardinals. First. The next half-price night is coming up Wednesday, June 3rd against the Reds, and fans can purchase terrace and pavilion reserve seats for half price. That means tickets as low as $8. Get your tickets today at STLCardinals.com.
A lot of kids out here.
It's good to see.
I always appreciate the family bringing all their kids to the ballpark.
Most do.
Yeah, most people bring all their kids to the ballpark. I'm kidding Dan, because Dan brought his eldest son and daughter, but the twins are at home with grandma, huh?
Twins are at home. Al, they're 14 weeks.
A little towhead and the youngest little girls, Avery and Luke. It's too beautiful.
The little blondie, and Avery was on the far right. We also had the Freckmans with us. They decided to come on by.
Oh, I thought it was double dating or something.
Well, Luke's got to have Michael with them so that it takes some of the attention away from Dad. There's Barton. Hits it on the ground to short. And the play is made. I think you would have to say that, to an extent, revenue sharing in baseball is working.
Oh, absolutely. And there's kind of an unwritten rule, like a club like Kansas City, they get being a very small market, do not have the high revenue streams of television and radio. So they get a lot of that revenue money. Now, when you get that money, what are you going to do with it? There's a lot of players, and the Players Association say, well, you can't just put it in your pocket, the owner's pocket. Some clubs say we really invested in our minor league system. Others use a combination. I think the Royals invested in the minor league system for a while, and now they're starting to make the combination to still try and get the best players through the draft, but to pay the quality that and retain the players they have.
1-2 on Loge. Like we mentioned last night, they had two non-arbitration eligible players that they traded to get guys with big contracts, Coco Crisp and Mike Jacobs. They would not have done that in the past.
No.
Loge out to deep left, and on the run making the catch, De Jesus.
And what we mean by that is every small market team would hold on to their non-arbitration eligible players. They can't make any money. They're under under your whatever you want to pay them is basically what they have to settle for.
It's a good play here.
We're used to seeing him as a center fielder, but he goes back on this ball.
It's brought to you by Hot Shot Sports Bar and Grill. They'll be busy today, 1 block south of the ballpark on Broadway. Here is Tyler Green, the 9th place hitter for Tony La Russa's lineup.
Home run he hit last night, coming off the bench in a double switch, and hits a home run opposite field into the Cardinal bullpen.
There's a diving play by the third baseman. It was cut off by Tien, and he'll make the play to end the second. 2-0 Cardinals as we move to the third. Just left town. He was wearing a Kansas City uniform at one point back in the late 60s.
Like 1969, Rookie of the Year. Used to be a period of time when they just had a shuttle bus go from Kansas City. They used to treat Kansas City as a farm team for the Yankees. But Piniella, and it was usually young players would go to Kansas City, and the veteran players would go to the Yankees.
And a swing and a miss by the pitcher. 1969.
I say Ted Sizemore.
Yep, Ted Sizemore, the National League Rookie of the Year.
A little different.
Teddy won it with 4 home runs and 46 driven in.
Even Piniella's 282, 11 home runs, 68 RBIs are nothing compared to the numbers kids put up today. Put it next to Pujols' numbers in his rookie year.
How important was Ted Sizemore for Lou Brock in your mind?
Oh, incredibly important, and Lou would be the first one to say that. And Teddy batting second behind Lou Brock, and he would, give himself up, take a pitch or two, allow Lou to steal second, and then automatically would hit the ball to the right side. If it went through, Lou would score from second base. If he if it stayed in the infield, Lou ends up on third base, and then Simmons drives him in.
Sure. What a nice man Teddy Sizemore is, too.
He developed a really technique that, being the person I am, I really enjoyed it. But, he show bunt. And, and Lou would be stealing and show bunt and everything. And then at the last second, he pulled the bat back. But instead of just pulling it towards his body, he literally would throw it back into the face of a catcher. And that catcher would just jump a little bit, and that's all it took. Sometimes he dropped the ball. Sometimes it just hesitated enough, seeing that bat barrel come back at his face, to where, it just guaranteed Lou would have extra advantage.
It's interesting, too, because you never see that now.
No.
Never, ever. And if you did, I think
someone would complain.
Someone would complain. You might get thrown at. Then all of a sudden you'd have warnings. And then
it's almost like, you didn't like the opposition. You were trying to defeat the opposition.
Camaraderie? No.
Instead of the Players Association saying, hey, we all got it so good, let's don't get anybody hurt.
You get fired up here, Al. I like it. Out to center. Another fly ball to Colby. 2 outs. Tomorrow, NASCAR on Fox heads to Charlotte, North Carolina, where Casey Kane will try to defend his title against a full field of the world's best drivers. Coverage of the Coca-Cola 600 from Charlotte begins Sunday at 4 in high definition, only on Fox. Coco Crisp 0 for 2. Here's David DeJesus.
I ever tell you who my favorite player was growing up?
Well,
Junior Gilliam.
Well, tell everybody where you grew up. You're Southern California.
Well, yeah, I was Southern hungry and then went to Southern California, but I don't say that too loudly.
And so your favorite player
was Junior Gilliam. And you know why? He batted second behind Maury Wills, and he was that consummate professional and team player that gave himself up for the betterment of the team, allowing Wills to steal like Ted Sizemore.
Al, I was watching a Dodger game the other night. I get the MLB package, so I tuned in. We were done with our ball game, and I'm listening to Vince Scully, and it takes me back to 30 years ago, and it's like nothing's changed. And he's probably, what, 81, 82 years old now?
He's in his, maybe even a year or two older than that. But
it's unbelievable how good he is.
No, you just like the fact he broadcasts his solo.
You got that right.
She asked me a great question the other night. I'm still thinking about it.
I'm afraid to re-ask whatever it is. There's another fly ball to Cole. Let's talk about it off mic during the break, and then I'll bring it up possibly. Rasmus puts it away. Another fly ball out. Top of the lineup coming up. KFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces, serving in 177 countries and aboard ships at sea. They're watching around the world in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, Japan. Welcome, and as we always say, thank you for what you do.
Remember what this weekend's all about, and honor our fallen heroes, and just to remember and thank the men and women of the armed forces, the greatest in the world, for the luxuries we have on a daily basis. We don't take it for granted, but unfortunately many do.
You ever talk to Rick Monday about his flag incident?
I did, and have.
That was a nice shot, wasn't it?
Yes. You know, a lot of us.
Schumacher, a high fly ball into right. Will it carry out of here? To the track, to the wall, and it's gone. Into the bullpen for Skip Schumacher, his third and 13th home run of the season, his second on this homestand. 3-0 Cardinals.
And he's homered now 3 times in his last 30 at-bats after having no home runs in his first 105. There's a hanging breaking ball, stays belt high out in the middle of the plate, and Skip gets underneath it and drives it into the bullpen. And Monday, you know, and a lot of us were reservists when we played.
Sure.
During the Vietnam era, and you know, I spent 6 years all during my major league career. And Monday, I know Duncan was a Marine, but and I'm pretty sure Rick Monday was in the reserves and everything, and just the way his passion for our country. And when he saw those 2 guys come out on the field, you know, you're always a little leery. But when he saw them unfold the American flag and saw a guy reach down with some lighter fluid, he said, "That's it. Now, I'm not standing around for this." Went in there and swooped it and took it away.
They were playing the Cubs. It was in 1976, and right after that, behind the left field bleachers, flashed the message, "Rick Monday, you made a great play." You might remember that as well. And he had talked about it with me, and he said, "I've seen way too many veterans in hospitals, broken bodies of people that give their lives for us, and I'm not about to let that happen." And he's very proud of the incident, and he'll talk about it with anybody. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
He's been recognized from the American Legions with that movie. You like to think any of us would have done the same thing.
It was great.
But he did it.
Here's Pujols, who walked and scored his first time up. Rick Monday, by the way, does have a connection to Kansas City, the Kansas City A's.
Yes. He may have been the original #1 draft pick. You know, the expansion years by the Kansas City
base hit. I think you're right. 1965, right?
Very first player ever drafted. Are you 6'5"? You wonder, can you field your shoe tops? And Albert walked the first time. This time they pitched to him, and if you pitch to him, he's going to get a base hit. The lead Albert has again.
Why not do it again?
I think he is. I think he went out there almost with such a big lead that he didn't feel comfortable. And then when he didn't throw over, you know, this next time he may shorten up even a little bit less. And I think he has, because he's going to run.
Ball scoots away, but not nearly far enough for Pujols to advance.
Sometimes you will take such a big lead, but you're leaning back to first base, wanting to see the pitchers move. Then once you get the read of it, you might even shorten up a little bit, because now you're going to steal.
And The idea being maybe that you're just lulling that pitcher to sleep.
Well, it's you're good base stealers. All of a sudden, if they see what you do out there, they see your trigger mechanism, and they learn very quickly when you're going to throw, how your mechanics are, when you go to the plate, when you go to first base. Albert's going up.
Yeah, we were talking about those rookies of the year for the Royals, late 60s, and made me think of Bob Hamlin. And then it was Angel Baroa. And there's two guys that had great rookie seasons, but then that was it. Never really stuck. And for the longest time since interleague play began, it was Mike Sweeney as the face of their franchise, and they gave him a long-term deal. He had back problems towards the end of that contract. Wound up with Oakland.
Dan, there's an old baseball adage. It's easy to get to the big leagues, and you know how difficult that is. But it's easy to get to big leagues. It's hard to stay.
Here goes Pujols again. Swung on, base hit into right. Pujols slid into second. Thought about going to third, and he'll stop. And he's almost tagged out, and he is. A base running mistake there by Pujols. Well, he slid in, not knowing that the ball got through. Then he thought about going to third, thought about going back to second, thought again, and then didn't get back in.
And he never thought about looking for his third base coach for help. Running on the pitch, he doesn't look in, so he doesn't know where the ball is. Now he's trying to locate it, starts to go to third, and now they throw behind him and tag him out.
That's a heads-up play.
If Albert's ever going to make a mistake, and this is a mistake, it's a mistake of aggression. And Tony, whether it's a veteran player like Albert or it's the young rookies, Tony will tolerate it. You learn, if you learn from it, and it's won by being overly aggressive.
There's a fly ball into shallow right center field. Coco Crisp is there. Skip Schumacher with a home run, measured at 389 feet to make it 3-0 Cardinals. To learn more, visit Kia.com. By Aflac, we've got you under our wing. And by the Casino Queen, home of the loosest slots. World War I Memorial here in downtown St. Louis. It's just a few blocks away towards Washington Avenue. And Tony West has been kind enough to get us those great shots to honor those men and women for their service. We go to Washington, I never miss the opportunity to go check out the different sites honoring those that have served our country. There's a line shot foul off the bat of Billy Butler.
We went together a couple years ago and went to all the different war memorials, from the Vietnam Wall to the Korean exhibit, and then I think our favorite is the World War II.
It's fairly new, a few years old now. Retired Army cap. 0-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Good tailing action there for Kyle Loge. Picks up his second strikeout. And Butler retired. It's interleague play here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. The Kansas City Royals and the St. Louis Cardinals, game 2 here on Fox Sports Midwest. Mentioned last night, our buddy Paul Splittorff is a little bit under the weather, so Frank White filling in on the Royals side of things. Fox Sports Midwest for St. Louis Cardinals baseball, Fox Sports Kansas City.
Well, I love seeing Frankie, but understand splits on the recovery, and hopefully we'll see him back in the booth when we get to Kauffman Stadium.
It's a good late action in on the hands of the hitter Guillen, and there's 2 away. That's Ryan Lefebvre, Jim Lefebvre's son on the right, and there's of course Frank White.
There he is in the stands too.
One of the bigger names in Royals history, no doubt. 18 straight scoreless innings now for Kansas City, and their bullpen, which has been very good for the most part, had some recent blow-ups in their series against Cleveland.
Well, a little bit of that is understandable with Soria out, their closer. He did throw yesterday and was eligible to return off the disabled list as early as today, but that did not happen. He's a good one.
Talking about revenue sharing and the fact that Tampa Bay makes it to a World Series.
That's the best thing for baseball.
Competitive balance. Those are starting to really settle in. Good movement on these pitches. Another club that comes to mind, and we talked about their great drafts and signing some of those players long term, Milwaukee. With Ryan Braun and Fielder. There's a strikeout for Loge. His second in the inning and third in this ball game. Dave Duncan pleased with his starters this Memorial Day weekend. Originally drafted by the Dodgers, 39th round in 2002. Went to the University of Tennessee. And became a #1 overall pick as Molina swings and misses. Did not make the team out of spring. They talked about trying to use both sides of the plate with more consistency and staying away from the big innings. Those are the two things that their staff has talked about with this big right-hander. Up the middle, base hit.
Johnny been struggling, so that base hit, lead off the fourth here, has to feel awfully good for him. Let's see if he can avoid the big inning. Let's see if he can also get through the fourth inning.
What do you think about a hit and run here with Barton? A guy that could guide it into right field. The only problem is you have Molina running.
That's another reason why he's got to make contact. You know, a lot of goes into that decision making is, does the pitcher throw enough strikes and does the hitter make enough contact? But if he does not make contact, it would be an automatic out. So, and I don't know if Hobichar throws enough strikes.
And one of the reasons I brought it up is that in the previous at bat with Barton, they were pitching him away.
It's a low ball hitter. And this is a sinker baller. So the thought process is right there to think about it.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. That time that pitch in, 2 balls, no strikes. Jose Oquendo flashing the signs, 2-0 the count. There goes Molina. Hit and run was on, and Molina steals it. A stolen base for Yadier Molina.
It's his second steal of the season in 3 attempts. Not noted for speed, and Barton does make contact, but Olivo has nothing on the throw. Throw to the inside part, and you see him slide the outer half. Watch Barton. Does he come across the plate? Now, what Olivo's mistake is, one, he's from his knees, but the other thing is you got to hit the batter. You hit the batter, then you can plead your case for interference. But he tried to throw around him or over him, and with nothing on the throw.
Hochevar has a play to third. Molina runs right into an out.
Terrible.
So 1-5 fielder's choice on the play. Hilton St. Louis at the ballpark, the only hotel that gives you home field advantage and an extraordinary Cardinals baseball experience. For reservations and information, number to call 421-1776, HiltonSt.Louis.com. We saw Pujols earlier, now Molina.
Try and do too much, but not intelligent base running.
See the pitch count. Lowe's fly to left his first time up, and a good play by De Jesus.
Squared around, looked like he's bunting instead of bunting Molina to third base, trying to put Barton in scoring position.
One out, runner at first. Hit down the right field line. Guillen is over. And no play as a fan reached over the wall. But again, Guillen was not there to make the play.
Wasn't able to get there. It wasn't a lack of hustle or anything else. Just beyond his reach. Wasn't high enough. Playing closer to the right field line now. Probably go back to sacrifice.
And he does, pushes it towards first. Butler underhands to the second baseman covering Callaspo, and in scoring position Barton. After the game, Cardinals Live is going to be from the Aqua Bar at Lumiere Place Casino. Watch player interviews, Tony La Russa plus Pat Paris and Rick Horton. They'll break down the game. U.S. Cellular. Cardinals Live after the game here on Fox Sports Midwest.
Jack's going to be there today, as Ricky is filling in for Mike as Shannon is on assignment.
So Jack Clark will be there.
Yeah.
Here's Tyler Green, grounded out to third. 0 for 1.
See if the Cardinals can't get another 2-out base hit. Davinoa delivered in the first inning.
And that pitch is taken for a strike. Tony La Russa was saying yesterday that he would be shocked if Ricky Ankiel would come back before now Ryan Ludwig. And as you mentioned, Ludwig won't come back till San Francisco.
Right. And I talked to Rick today. He's feeling much better. He had the magic blue box on, you know, an electrical stimulator.
A line out towards third. Cardinals strand their third runner today. Fifth inning rolls in when we come back. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Dan McLaughlin, Al Raboski with you. Robbie Dutton is in the broadcast booth with us. He's kind enough to stop on by and say hello, and understand that you had a chance to visit with the players today. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, you know, all the players were kind enough. Something going on right now is, I guess there's no communication with the bullpen, maybe. That's Bob McClure, the pitching coach. And maybe they're having some kind of issues down there in the bullpen that Jerry Lane, the crew chief, has been made aware of. And the phone maybe not working. I don't know why you have to get the umpires involved. Where's Mo Dabowski when you need him? You know, he had the bullpen phone in Baltimore. He had it switched around, so he was communicating with the dugout.
First pitch by Loesch, and now time called again. Alberto Callaspo is the pitcher, or rather the hitter, and Loesch the pitcher. And now we have another time called by the umpires. Maybe the phones just don't work here, and they can't figure it out.
Well, I think they're going to ask somebody to just go out and verbally tell them what you want. You know, there was a time there were no telephones. But anyway, we had Robbie down in the dugout, and Cardinals didn't take batting practice, and Jason LaRue took you down in the inside cages, and you got to sit there and see all the hitters. Did you learn anything? No. Says he knows so much about hitting. He didn't learn anything, but Albert signed and everything, but he had an Ankiel jersey. as he's his favorite player. But Rick was kind enough to still getting his treatments, but he went down and signed Robbie's jersey.
That's ripped foul. Callaspo this afternoon has flied out to center. Callaspo, Olivo, and Aviles. 6, 7, and 8 for Kansas City. Another fly ball. Boy, we've seen a bunch out to center today, haven't we?
It's kind of lazy fly balls, not getting really good wood on it. And that's a lot of area out there, Death Valley.
Miguel Olivo will be the hitter. Olivo doubled in left after the diving attempt by Chris Duncan. So Loge, the 2 groundouts, the 7 fly ball outs, and he has struck out 3.
Now, normally you want to see the reversal of those ground ball to fly ball outs, but so far so good.
1 out, nobody on. And that's pulled fair. Past the diving Brian Barden. And Duncan will have to dig it out of the corner. So 1 out double, his second of the afternoon.
3 hits for the Royals, 2 of them by Olivo.
Watch how Duncan goes after this too, Al, because it looked like he was a little indecisive as to whether or not he wanted to cut it off. You don't see it there, but on that sidewall, he started to hustle over there, and that wall could play tricks on you too. If it scoots by, it's a triple.
Well, it has that 45-degree angle, at the foul line, and then jets back. So if you get caught in between, that ball can get around you.
We saw that the other night with Thurston, with his triple down the right field line. Aviles fly to center his first time up. He's 0 for 1.
Looks like he has a really long swing right now. We talked about how he holds his hand so high, and his trigger mechanism isn't very quiet. And you're almost doing him a favor right now by throwing him a breaking pitch, because you're speeding up his bat. Holds the hands extremely high. Then there's so much movement to get to the ball that he can't get around on a good fastball.
1 ball, 1 strike. Good pitch, just a little bit low. 2-1.
Good pitch, doesn't get the call. You're right.
Beautiful afternoon here in St. Louis.
Think about when you're holding your hands that high above your head, and then you're trying to go down to get a pitch away from you.
Same pitch right there. 2-2.
Aviles 5 for his last 38, and he's just had 1 RBI in his last 13 games.
And he strikes out here on that check swing. Let's turn to today's Aflac trivia question. That's 4 strikeouts for Kyle Loge, who is the only Royals pitcher to hit a home run in interleague play. Only Royals pitcher to hit a home run in interleague play. And Zach Greinke did it in 2005 against Arizona. Now, some people may have seen Zach Greinke on the cover of Sports Illustrated. He was the first Royals player to be on the cover of SI since David Cohn. And in that article, he talked about that home run because he's always giving the hitters trouble. Especially when he first got up, he said, I'm a better hitter than all these guys, giving them trouble. So he took more pride, they thought, in sometimes his at-bats than what was happening on the mound. But things have changed a little bit for Zach Greinke, and he is very, very focused to what's happening on the mound. And right now, arguably the best pitcher in the game.
Well, you would hope he would learn not to make statements like that.
Young guy, a little brash, but a world of talent. Well, Gibson's historic season in '68, first 9 starts. And how about that? How good did Bob Gibson get, with his ERA even dropping from 1.34?
They end up 22-9 that season with the all-time record 1.12 ERA.
Here's a grounder hit to short, handled by Green, and the Royals strand a runner. midway through 5. Cardinals lead it 3-0. An explanation as to why there was a little stoppage in play, and I guess our assumption is the phone was off. This date in baseball history brought to you by Schnucks. How about Albert Pujols, 5 for 5 for the first time in his career? Who else would it be against? The Pirates back in 2003.
Kansas City.
Yeah, that's a good point, I guess, Al, but this guy.
How about how he got that hit? Dropping down a bunt with a runner at third base.
That was the year he won the batting championship. But he always hits the Pirates, no matter what's happening.
And I don't know if, it is responsibility of the home team to have, everything in working condition. I don't know if bullpen telephones would fall into that. I remember talking about Pittsburgh and, at Three Rivers Stadium one time, the Cardinals won a protest because their mechanical tarp did not work. And they weren't, the game got washed out because they were not able to get the tarp covered.
Now in the NFL, if one team's headsets are out, it's shut off.
So we lost our bullpen phone.
Very well could have.
Oh, I hope we can handle that.
We can continue to play here today, Al.
There used to be signs, that they could give to the bullpenners. Yeah, left, right, and then you'd have, maybe short or tall. They're really high tech.
And it seemed to work just fine.
It worked just fine. Everybody knew.
As much as Tony goes to the pen, he might be worn out, though.
Process of elimination, though.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
Be real hard, How hard would it be to distinguish between the 2 lefties in the bullpen as we look at Schumacher? 3rd home run, giving the Cardinals their 3rd run here today. One kind of portly and the other one tall, skinny.
I got it.
Franklin, you go to Billy Goat. You point to the chin.
2-2. That could be Mott, too. Is this getting there?
No, Mott, you just go flamethrower.
Okay. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Schumacher. That home run was his 3rd of the season. 3-2. So top of the lineup here for the Cardinals. Schumacher, Rasmus, and Pujols. Just joining us, the Cardinals scored 2 runs in the first on a 2-out base hit by Stavanoa. And a solo home run by Skip back in the 3rd. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Line to 3rd for the out. Well, 6 is a serious number. When the Cardinals score 6, you get a 20-ounce coffee. Found a frozen drink for just a quarter the next day at On the Run at Mobile. We always talk about walks and how they can come back to haunt you, and that has been the case here for the young right-hander for Kansas City. He walked 2 in the first. Those 2 came around to score. If he doesn't walk those 2, it's a different game. You may be talking about just a 1-run lead.
1-run lead, the Schumacher home run.
Rasmus today is 0 for 2. He's grounded to short, grounded to first. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, nobody on.
Mentioned last night, but very deceiving because the perception is that Kobe, playing every day in the absence of Hank Keel, was swinging the bat well. It's not the case.
Ground out at first.
It's 4 for his last 27.
In town for the game. Well, while you're here, try your luck at one of the local casinos. Take a riverboat cruise on the mighty Mississippi. Make the most of your next visit to St. Louis. Go to exploreSt.Louis.com and see why St. Louis is all within reach. Pujols has walked and scored. He also singled. On base twice. Well, watching Albert here at the ballpark this past week, early in days before games, I should say, it's been the soft toss drill and also trying to take a lot of those pitches and BP to right. I guess that would tell you, Al, that he's maybe feeling that he's pulling off some of these pitches with his front shoulder.
And Dan, what it also tells you is just what a hard worker he is. You know, he was struggling on the road trip, but in the homestand he's batting about 380 and still trying to find his stroke.
Here's the 0-1. Pujols pulls it foul. That breaking ball, very slow, 74 miles an hour. Of course, if you haven't seen it yet, he knocked out the eye the other night in the Big Mac Land. 0-2 pitch. They want it elevated. 1-2. Ochaver trying to get through 5 here.
First time all season.
Pitch number 69.
At the big league level.
Little grounder to short. Cardinals go in order. We have played 5. And the Cardinals have a 3-run lead. AT&T, switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. And by McDonald's, the double cheeseburger extra value meal, now just $2.99 at McDonald's. Welcome back to Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Top of the 6th, and it's a 3-0 lead for the Cardinals. Top of the lineup, Coco Crisp leads it off for Kansas City. First pitch on a hop, backhanded by Skip Schumacher to make the play. One pitch, one out. Big 12 baseball tournament continues today in Oklahoma City. Tomorrow, Fox Sports Midwest will have the championship live. Big 12 championship tomorrow at 1 right here on Fox Sports Midwest.
I see where Cal Eldred's doing a little bit of that. So doing some of the Big Ten telecasts.
Yeah.
This pitching keeps on continuing for the 5th straight game. The Cardinal starters have just been awesome.
David DeJesus. That pitch taken low, 1 out, nobody on. The pressure now on these starters to do what the others have done to keep this string rolling, and so far Loge is continuing the theme.
Pinheiro starts it, and everybody has responded, and they're going to put the pressure back on Pinheiro. But I think these guys are all having a little fun with it right now. They're on quite a roll.
You know, that's what stood out to me about the 04 and 05 seasons. The fact was that those starters, every 5th day, you know, for each one of those guys, rarely did they miss a turn, and they always seemed to give you 6 or 7 innings. And then the byproduct of that was your bullpen was rested. Those guys came in and did the job.
Exactly. You know, if you get 6 innings, preferably 7, everything falls in place for that bullpen. Nobody's overworked. You can really work your little magic, especially with the 2 situational left-handers. And if you continue to get that type of performance and innings out of your starter, maybe you drop down 1 pitcher out of that bullpen. Instead of carrying 8 pitchers in your bullpen, you add 1 more extra man to your bench. Give you a little more versatility there.
Butler, a base hit into left field. Watching him in BP, and even when he's made a couple of outs here today, the ball just seems to jump off his bat.
His numbers are very impressive for what he's done in the early going. And former #1 draft pick for the Royals, it looks like he's coming into his own.
There's Jose Guillen, who came up with Pittsburgh back in 1997. Carpenter and Gallardo on the first game of the series against Milwaukee. That'll be our next telecast on Fox Sports Midwest. Guillen has been with Tampa Bay, Arizona, Cincinnati, Oakland, Anaheim, Washington, Seattle, and he signed a long-term deal with the Royals. 2nd year of that deal, $36 million. Last year at .264 with 20 home runs and 97 driven in. So 2 outs, and then the base hit by Butler. Guillen 0 for 2 today.
Guillen early in his career carried a little baggage, but last couple of years you aren't hearing any problems from him. It's good to see.
He's got a very good arm. Not great range though in right, but a pretty good bat. One ball, one strike. A short lead at first by Butler. And Guillen is hit by the pitch. And now all of a sudden the tying run comes to the plate.
You're talking about the movement on Loesch's pitches, and there it moved a little bit too far inside for the hit batsman. But remember, there's still 2 outs. Last 2 days, the Cardinals have been able to deliver in 2 outs, and the Royals have not. Will that continue?
It was interesting in watching Pujols hold Billy Butler at first. Now, of course, he'll play behind with a runner at second, but if he knows that an opponent will not be stealing, more than likely, Pujols will take 2 or 3 steps off the bag as he holds a runner on. That's not obviously the traditional way to do it.
But it makes more sense.
It sure does.
And sometimes, knowing our personnel, knowing the guy's not going to run, there are times when we really question the opposition. Why are they holding this guy on? Why don't you? You know, we've even seen it with pitchers being on the base path. Now, we had to have some pitchers steal, but
one ball, one strike on Tien, who has doubled up on the eye black.
use those strips now, and it looks like he has doubled up on the strips. Or is it the old-fashioned eye black? Maybe it's the old-fashioned, yeah. I saw Jose Cruz do it. Did more eye black one time. It was a game of the world. We were playing at Wrigley Field, and the game was going back to Puerto Rico. So he did a Fu Manchu out of eye black.
Oh, Green, nice play. Takes the hit away, and with that, saves that run from scoring. Good play by Tyler Green to his left. "3-0 game, and here's the bottom of the 6th and Chris Duncan. That was a fine play by Tyler Green to his left.
I thought it was a pretty good play, but I asked our buddy, Robbie, I said, what position you play? And he said, shortstop. I said, could you make that play? And he goes, maybe, and then probably.
He's not short on confidence.
Now they got the bullpen door open, so that bullpen is, I think that is their mistake, not ours.
It's Juan Cruz out there. We're not joking about this. Apparently they have a cell phone now in the bullpen. So that's how they will communicate. No hand signals, no smoke from the dugout. It'll be done in 2009 by cell phones.
I hope John Miserock can handle that. He's their bullpen coach.
You think they text?
No. Somebody might steal that,
That's a
foul ball.
Foul ball off the foot of Duncan. Gonna take it the next step.
I mean, but isn't it typical today? You got to use technology. Can't do anything old-fashioned. Now they act like they can't get it. It won't work. No reception.
And Duncan strikes out. What's on Tap is brought to you by Bud Light. Bud Light, the difference is drinkability. Channel 5 tomorrow with our buddy Rick Horton and also Jay Randolph Sr. Channel 5, it's the Royals and the Cardinals tomorrow at 1. So Duncan strikes out, and here's Stabenoa.
Somehow, some way, they made communication to the Royals bullpen. They got a pitcher up. Where are the smoke signals?
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Strike 2. Ouch. Memorial Day Monday, and that's that special hat that all teams in Major League Baseball will be wearing on the logo. Stars and Stripes. Saw that on the 4th of July as well. No balls, 2 strikes on Nick Stavanoa. Big base hit. His double to score 2 back in the first with 2 outs. Hochevar is pitching into the 6th, something he has not done. And like we said, if he gets through the first couple of innings, he seems to settle in, and he's done that.
They really only gave up 1 hit in the first inning, but it followed 2 walks that came around to score, and Stavanoa's double.
Stavanoa down the left field line and pulls it foul. Hard hit ball, and nice catch made by the fan.
Brought his glove for a good reason.
Those plays get a little tougher as the game goes along. 1 ball, 2 strikes with 1 out.
We've seen father carrying a child and a beer in one hand and really has a problem deciding which.
They're both so precious.
Right.
Backhanded by the shortstop, and Stavanoa is out. Almost beat it out.
Diaz not swinging the bat, and you're saying not playing as well defensively, but here makes a fine play, and they get the second out of the inning.
Looking forward, like you said earlier, to going to Kansas City. It's always a great city to go to, and so many Cardinal fans make that trek west. And it's always a lively stadium too when we're there. It's always exciting.
Those Royal fans, you know, they take a lot of pride in their ball club and the bragging rights of the state of Missouri. It is fun atmosphere.
And that pitch a little low to Molina, who's grounded out and also singled and stole the base.
And we'll see if I guess George Brett had to apologize for some of his remarks he made earlier this week.
I talked about that last night.
I know, but I didn't know the full extent of it at the time.
And his comments were,
it was his
passionate,
and kind of in the pine tar incident,
kind of passion. Backing his manager.
Backing his manager, and I appreciate that.
Molina into right with a base hit.
That away.
So 2-out hit. Yachty with 2 base hits. Just going to right with the pitch.
I remember back in the first inning, he hit a ball to right field that was caught by the first baseman. And so his second hit today, and good to see him get a multi-hit game. It's been a while, and that perpetual smile is a little bigger now.
Now it's Pardon, who's 0 for 2. He has homered during the homestand against Chicago a couple of nights ago.
3 of his 4 home runs this year have been against Chicago.
2 outs, runner at first. And a strike.
First major league home run this year was against Arizona, the team that let him go when the Cardinals acquired him.
There's the 0-1. What do you think, Al? The consensus is with the draft experts, the guys that do it day in and day out. If you had that #1 pick, and take this year out of the equation, everybody knows who's the best player, at least on paper. But and Barton hits it to center. I was going to ask you, though, you take a high school player or a college player with that first overall pick?
College.
We'll talk about that when we come back. of the St. Louis Cardinals, and the only site with Fan Protect guarantee. Now we'll get into what you were talking about with college players in a moment, because you're going to see some video of the #1 pick. He will be #1 overall, the right-hander from San Diego State, and Skip Schumacher.
Change of gloves.
Well, they're changing players here. Stavino's coming in, Schumacher going to right, and Brendan Ryan going to second.
Loesch is still out there, just a defensive switch.
So Brendan takes over at second and Skip Schumacher in right.
They had 2 minutes between innings to do that.
You know what's amazing is when we talk to some of the other teams that are seeing the Cardinals for the first time, they just can't get over that a second baseman in the middle of the game goes to the outfield. For us, this has become commonplace, no big deal. But they're shocked to see Schumacher do that. And as much as Tony will realign his defense in late innings.
Schumacher, the first Cardinal to move from the outfield to second base since Red Shandy's back in the 40s.
Here's Callaspo.
And Red at that time, had been a minor league shortstop, so wasn't that big adjustment for him. But for Schumacher, he's never played an inning in the infield in professional baseball.
Slowly hit, and Pujols takes it himself. And that was the similar type play against the Mets that Loesch was hurt on. Remember his knee injury? It was almost identical.
So this time, Albert just took Loesch out of the equation.
I think that's probably in the back of his mind, that play, and he's thinking, okay, the runner's coming down and I'm getting out of the way.
Well, then he has to avoid Brendan Ryan.
Brendan's always in the middle of things, right, isn't he?
Rishnikov has nothing on Loesch.
And the 0-1 pitch. And he has pitched very well once again here today. Only 4 hits allowed.
Well, we kind of talked about it. He's had a normal week. He had his side session in the bullpen, and normally when these guys do that and work under normal conditions, they respond well. Had about 2 or 3 weeks because of the flu bug and because of being hit by a pitch on his non-throwing elbow, but then they had the 2 little collisions at first base and then knee strain. He had about 2 or 3 games where he didn't have a bullpen session in between, and that kind of got him out of whack a little bit.
2 balls, 2 strikes. A little bit low. Game plan early by Kansas City was to step out, take their time against Loesch, but now again here he is dictating the pace for the most part. What's he want here?
Fastball away on the 3-2 pitch.
He got him. Ball, 3rd strike. So here you go. You want a college player? How about this guy, Steven Strasburg? Nasty stuff. He has thrown a no-hitter already this year.
Well, you see the breaking balls there, but he's noted for his fastball. Does he throw anything but a breaking ball? There's a fastball. And of course, aluminum bats, you can't break them.
Back to Loesch, and it's time to stretch. 3-0 Cardinals. gorgeous afternoon, and it's 3-0 St. Louis. Our Infinity game recap, and here we go. That was with 2 outs and a double. That would score 2. Back in the first, off the bat of Nick Stavanoa. Schumacher the home run, and since then Kyle Lowe. She has struck out 5 and only allowed 4 base hits. So it's a 3-0 St. Louis lead. So another starter now through 7 innings for the Cardinals.
And another well-pitched game by the opposition.
So you go with the college player.
I go with the college player because, one, he's a little more mature. Spent some time out on his own. He understands what's going on. The attrition rate, you kind of weed out some of those significant injuries. And they're a lot less costly. You get a high school player, you're going to get a quicker return on your money with a college player. High school guy, you got to assume is going to be 3 or 4 years, where maybe 2 years for a college guy.
Chaver off his glove, and Loge is safe at first. He gloved it and then couldn't find it.
6'5", you think you can't get one over his head. Knocks it up in the air, but couldn't find his rebound. Basketball background. And Loge hustling all the way. The backhand shovel. Pretty good.
I know you're not a huge guy into mechanics. If a guy is throwing hard, though, would you be one of those kind of scouts that would say, I don't really mind? I mean, I like his stuff. I'm not going to look so much at mechanics, where some people say, some scouts will say, I'm looking for this prototypical type of pitcher.
I have heard certain organizations look for a certain type of mechanic. That they think this power pitcher and this guy's got a power arm and a power size, and they look at this. And then I've heard other pitching coaches say, yeah, that's what my scouts look for, but then we don't think that type of pitcher is going to be successful at the major league level. He can't be a starter, and they're projecting to be a starter. That guy's a 1-inning, max out type pitcher in the bullpen.
More I'm around it. I mean, hey, if you can play, you can play.
Yeah, the fallacy is, everyone's looking for the perfect mechanics. There is no such thing, because everybody's body shape, body tone is different. And what is most natural for one guy may be the disaster plan for somebody else. Everybody's body, it's
going to wind up being just fine off the plate. Green sacrifice. Well, here's the other thing, too, Al. How many times have you heard of a catcher moving to pitcher, a pitcher becoming a position player, outfielder becomes an infielder, vice versa?
All the time. And I think a lot of these, parents that are with good intentions, want to get pitching lessons and different things at such a young age. They're trying to help, but I think all they're doing is hurting their kids. One, let them play all the sports possible, all different sports, and if you want to pitch, then don't pitch till you're about 15 years of age.
This will be a double switch. Willie Bloomquist will come into the game and play shortstop.
Ron Mayhay will come in.
Yeah, coming in. So this will be our Chevrolet call to the bullpen. Lefty-lefty matchup when we come back, and the Cardinals leading here in the bottom of the 7th, 3-0.
represented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and description of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Well, the pitching changes. Willie Bloomquist will come in to play shortstop. He'll lead off the bottom or the top of the 8th inning, and Ron Mayhay will take over on the mound. Mayhay last year in interleague play was very impressive against the Cardinals. Second season with them. And Dan, here's one of these guys you were talking about. He made it to the majors as an outfielder in 1995 before converting to pitching in 1996. So here's a guy that didn't make that conversion to the minor leagues and made it in the big leagues.
It's pretty hard to do, isn't it?
And he's looks like they made the right decision putting him on the mound and become a situational left-hander.
And Mayhay is a guy that we heard his name a lot last year towards the trade deadline, that the Cardinals would have interest as they look to bolster their bullpen from the left side. Up the middle, a rocket off the bat of Schumacher. And they'll hold Kyle Loge. Boy, Mayhay's lucky that didn't hit him.
Well, last year Schumacher hit 340 off of right-handers and under 200 against lefties, but a lot better now because he's getting more bats against these lefties and feeling more comfortable. But didn't get it far enough away, and line drive right back up the middle. And look, watch here, right over his head. Ron, I'm sure will say, I saw it, I just couldn't react quick enough to it.
Boy, was that scary.
Other times, you know, you will catch a ball, a line drive back up the middle that you don't even see.
First and third. Here's Colby Rasmus and Pujols on deck. Rasmus, as you talked about, really has struggled. Average down to 236, but he has had some key hits against lefties during this homestand. Ground ball, right side. Diving stop at second. They'll get him, but a run will score to make it 4-0, and he'll pick up the RBI, his 17th. Tremendous play by Callaspo.
Remember Colby Rasmus' speed on top of it. Little slider, he rolls over on it, and look at the range from the second baseman. Get to it, scrambles to his feet, and throws out a gifted and speedy runner.
They'll walk Pujols with first base open. So Albert will be on base for the third time this afternoon. And they boo here at Busch Stadium. They want to see the big man swing the bat.
If you don't do this, you're asking to be fired.
Yes, you are. George Brett may turn his attention to his manager instead of protecting him.
He might turn his thoughts around.
So here's Chris Duncan. 2 outs, 2 on. 4-0 Cardinals.
Still within a grand slam of tying this game, so the strategy is the right strategy, but it's up to Duncan whether he can foil it or not.
Well, here you have 16 innings now for Kansas City, and they have not scored a run in the series. And Duncan on the first pitch, out to shallow left, and the catch made. Rasmus the RBI to extend it, 4-0. the Home Depot doing more on defense. That was back in the 6th inning. Took a hit away, ended the inning. Also took a run away from Kansas City, too.
At least. Bloomquist pinch hit last night against Mott and took a fastball right down the middle for a called strike.
And it's 0-2. Oof, that close.
Rusty not wearing, looks like he's not wearing an ear flap, where the coaches don't wear them.
Loge off the mound. Boy, he was sharp here today, huh?
He's always been able to field his position, even with that little touchy knee. But you really like to see how he's come out here and responded to the rest of the rotation and their challenge to it. There's his pitches by inning. 89, and he's 7 1/3 innings completed.
By the way, looking at the stats for Brett Wallace, he did pick up his first home run at AAA. 12 for 26, 462 average.
Well, it's gone down the last 2 days, though.
That's a heck of a start.
He was 471. Well, Dan is trying to play general manager, and he wants him to DH when we're in the American League cities and interleague play.
And Al has misunderstood where I'm coming from.
How can I misunderstand that?
Well, I'm just bringing up options. There's lots of options, and I think maybe if you don't have to put him in the field, it might be something you look at. As you have stated on the record, Al Rabowski, you do prefer college players, and he was a heck of a college player.
Absolutely.
You might remember.
Arizona State, back-to-back Triple Crown winners in the Pac-10. I mean, that's big-time division baseball. Change up,
just
get it down.
Me out. Center field, Rasmus. Yes. He was shading him the other way just a little bit. Got a good jump and made the catch on the run.
Well, Loesch hits his spot, and you can see out there on the run, comes in here, bending over, gliding. It hangs up long enough for him to catch the ball, waist high. Saw the signal. It was going to be a change up, and there you see the circle grip and down. Look at how he's reaching like that. You're an outfielder. You can read that off the bat. You know it's not going to carry far.
Loesch is due up fourth for the Cardinals. That's pitch number 93. Maybe you have a similar situation like the other night for Adam Wainwright. Start the inning and see how he looks in the ninth.
The difference is that was a save situation, wasn't it?
Yes.
Right now it's not. But still, I think you're thinking the same way, that if he runs into trouble, because his pitch count will be over 100 at that time, you have somebody ready to get him out of there.
2-1 with 2 outs, nobody on. De Jesus hitting .227 on the road and .243 overall. No activity in either bullpen. Strike 2. Loesch struggled with his control the other night with the walks. A lot of pitches were up as well. And today it's a different story.
Every pitch is down, or if he does get a ball up, it's by design to change the eye angle. But this is what Dave Duncan expects and what he preaches. Pitch to contact, but quality pitches down in the zone, so primarily they hit it on the ground. Keep it in the ballpark.
5 strikeouts make it 6. 6 on the afternoon, no walks, and a 4-0 lead. afternoon. Our Hardy's prime cut of the game off the bat of Skip Schumacher, his solo home run. And for Skip, that was back in the 3rd inning. Here's Brendan Ryan. Brendan very aggressive early in counts, and I'm sure if he's going to hit leadoff, the Cardinals would want him to take more pitches, be a little bit more selective.
And then you got his personality,
which factors into it.
Which I think he has one stock, Starbucks.
Likes the coffee, you're saying?
I'm just saying he likes the caffeine or something.
Gives him a little jolt.
Oh.
And he's always like that. But he is he's a pleasure to be around.
He really is. Fun guy, and we just one of our favorites. And just
I think Tony appreciates his hustle, his energy that he brings to the ballpark every day. You need guys like that, don't you?
Yes, you do. And he's learning. I mean, he's learning how to control himself and stay within himself. But I enjoy watching him play because he does play with such high energy. And with that, he's going to make mistakes here and there, but you learn from him.
2-2. Brendan Ryan, left center field. This will get down and go to the wall. Brendan on his way to second with a stand-up double.
And Tony appreciates the leadoff double more than anything else against Mays. Got the final outs of the inning, but pitch up out over the plate, and it gets whacked out into left center. That ball up there, still in the strike zone, is very hittable. And now Molina and Kindler get together.
Well, perfect guy to hit to the right side and get a runner over, if not drive him in.
Well, there's two different ways you can go. He's extremely adept at going to the opposite field, hitting behind a runner and letting him advance, maybe even driving him in. But we've seen earlier this week, one time in a scenario like this, he laid down a sac bunt, and the next night, same scenario, they let him swing away.
He's trying to go to right on that swing.
Yes, he is. Got a couple hits going. Feeling good about himself. You already got a 4-0 lead, but you try to push for 5 so a grand slam can't tie you. And in many ways, I'm not quite sure. Tony thinking about the psychology of Molina right now, whether you want him to swing away or not. Look at how they bunch him on the right side. They really have the first baseman well off the first base line, taking that hole away from him. And how close the second baseman is too. So I mean, they're shooting for that angle out there. The center fielder's shading right field, and now he gets the bunt down. Nice job.
Very good at doing that. Sacrifice is good. Brendan Ryan advances to third. So here's Brian Barton with 1 out. Cardinals 3 outs away from back-to-back shutouts in this series. Starting pitching has just been remarkable since the beginning of the Chicago series. And that pitch is inside. And I'll say it again. Maybe the play of this homestand was Molina picking up Soriano. Just felt like the stadium changed.
Especially after how poorly the starting pitching was early in May, and particularly in that Milwaukee series for the Soriano get a base hit. It was like you say, everybody goes, oh, here we go again. And then Molina, for the 29th time in his young career, picks off a runner at first base and it changed the whole complexion. And even Pinheiro said that was a pick-me-up for himself.
Brendan Ryan also made a very fine play in that same inning at shortstop, and it really just set the tone for the rest of this homestand.
After the last swing where it looked like Barton trying to hit the ball to right field, center fielder Coco Crisp moved into right center. Big gap out in left center now. Got the infield in, and it's one of those situations where every hitter wants to deliver that runner at third in less than 2 outs. Pitch out.
Not a bad idea. No. So here you go, Tuesday night. Number 29 in his career. Big play. Soriano didn't like the call. We had that super slow-mo cam, and indeed it showed that he was barely tagged out. 2-1 pitch. 3-1.
Every batter wants to deliver in this situation, but it's also one of those deals where you got to let the action come to you. You can't force it. Just relax. Have fun with the RBI situation.
2 strikes. Milwaukee at Minnesota tonight. Braden Looper gets that start. He's 4-2, the former Cardinal.
He was good against the Cardinals the other night.
So was Soup.
Both were. Veteran guys took advantage of all the young, Cardinal hitters. Really worked the off-speed pitches against them and avoid Albert. Infield in. 3-2 pitch. Maybe doing a favor with a breaking ball down. Yeah.
And if you're a Mayhay, it's not necessarily the worst thing.
You got the double play still in order.
When you bring up Kyle Loge. So 1-out runners at first and third.
They'll play back for the double play depth in the middle infield. But you never know with Tony and a pitcher. Would it be a suicide squeeze, a safety squeeze, or do you just let Loge drive in the runner? He has 1 RBI in the season, showing bunt, but he may pull back.
You always talk about, Al, how Tony wants his pitchers to get extra BP and to have their own session during games. Even a situation like this, Lowe showing bunt, pulling back, and just trying to put the ball in play. Without question, it's an advantage for a National League team, especially the Cardinals, as much as Tony tries to get his guys to be productive with the bat.
Well, when Tony came over from the American League, he said, if the pitcher's going to hit, I'm going to give him a fighting chance. And he allocates more time for the starters to batting practice.
Oh, no. Lowe's hit by a pitch. Out is Barry Weinberg. Did he get it on the arm or the hand or the wrist?
You're taught as a pitcher, in a suicide squeeze. Obviously, it's not a suicide squeeze, but a lefty's got his back to third base. It's a safety squeeze, meaning the runner at third can go once the ball is down. But showing bunt, if it's a suicide, you want to throw it in. That ball really wasn't that far inside. And then the deflection off of Loge, and it looks like he gets that's going to be now his right elbow, right?
Yeah.
His pitching arm. Then it deflected and hit the umpire in the head.
That's the second time that Loge has been hit by a pitch.
Well, part of it is he got to watch out himself. I mean, that ball's not that far inside that, sit there and let it hit you.
1-out bases loaded for Tyler Green. That's a bounce to the dirt. Remember, the other time Loge was hit, it was on his left arm.
Left arm.
And he clearly wasn't right after he was hit by the pitch.
Bob McClure now thought no activity in the Royals bullpen because I guess they can't talk to him.
And you're saying that for people that maybe don't know, their bullpen phone was out.
It was out, and then it looked like the cell phones didn't work.
A reminder that Baseball Today on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser Select, full flavor, 99 calories, the exception to the rule. By Bank of America, Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. And by Hyundai, discover why only Hyundai can say sales event. Visit your St. Louis area Hyundai dealers today.
Because of Loesch being hit on his pitching arm, there's now activity with Chris Perez in the Cardinal bullpen. Well, I'm sure Loesch will say I'm all right and go out and take the mound, but if they don't like what they see, they have a pitcher ready. And you'd love to see Tyler Green break this open and then Tony just say, you've had enough.
Bases loaded, 2 balls, no strikes on Tyler Green. Opposite field home run in this series.
It's been quite a while since the Cardinals have had double digits in hits. They have 9 here today.
It's being overlooked because of the pitching.
Right.
2-1 pitch. 2-2.
Cardinals won the 3 games against the Cubs with a total of 8 runs scored. They hit 205 in that 3-game series. Coming into this homestand, they're 4-3, and the Cardinals had a combined 196 batting average.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Tyler Green. Inside, full count. And Schumacher on deck. You know the fans would love to see Pujols come up one more time. See this game busted wide open. Chris Carpenter watching intently.
How about his next assignment? That's a pitching duel.
Spoiled by Green. He gets Gallardo on Monday afternoon.
Yeah, that'll be a great pitching matchup in Milwaukee. Carpenter against that very fine young right-hander, Gallardo.
Well, he is intense, isn't he, Carpenter?
Oh, yeah. He's also a winner.
(3-2). Green pulls it foul. When he's healthy, Al, I'm not sure who's got better stuff in baseball than Chris Carpenter. We just haven't seen him healthy enough.
If there is, you would put him amongst the same on that one hand. Santana, Holiday.
Holiday would from the right side.
Greinke, what he's doing this year.
Yep.
Haven't seen what Billingsley, got off to a great start.
A 3-2 again. He walked him, and it's 5-0 Cardinals. Good at bat by Tyler Green. Fouled off a couple of 2-strike pitches. Brendan Ryan scores. Bases remain loaded, and it's 5-0 St. Louis. Let's go pitch by pitch, brought to you by Chevrolet.
Well, you wonder if the hit bat's been effective on that first delivery. As he bounced the ball up there, now it's down in the strike zone. Everything's down. Breaking ball, fastball inside, away, fouls it off, fouls another one off, and up and in for the walk. And his 4th RBI.
1 out, bases loaded. Schumacher, a home run today. He's also singled up the middle off of Mayhay.
You're not doing your job as a relief pitcher when you come into a game and less than 2 innings you're facing the first man you came in to appear for.
Oh, 2. Folks at Mobile better get ready, because 6 is a serious number. Mobile on the run. Drinks for a quarter. Perez continues to throw in the bullpen. 0-2 in the count. Colby Rasmus on deck. Just got a piece.
And his breaking ball is kind of not a big variance, or it doesn't have a big enough break to keep it away from, say, Schumacher and the other left-handed hitters. They're going to get a shot because it's kind of still, fastball slider type, same speed.
1-2. Big gap in right center. He gets a ball in right center that may clear the bases. In the upper deck, nice play made by a fan. One ball, 2 strikes. Throw to third, and a dangerous throw there. 2-2.
And just got in front of Barden going back to the bag, or could have been down there in the corner, and that could have cleared the bases.
Here's a 2-2. And Mayhay now is at 39 pitches.
They do have Wright up in their bullpen. Jamie Wright, remember him? Same one.
Shortstop going out to make the catch.
Doesn't look like anybody called the infield fly rule.
I agree. I was looking for the second base umpire to make that call, and I believe maybe the home plate umpire made the call.
Home plate umpire is the only one that had his arm up in the air, but base umps did not.
Up to Rasmus to extend the inning. 2 outs, bases loaded. He picked up an RBI back in the 7th. Made it 4-0. Cardinals have added another one. It's 5-0. 314 average with runners in scoring position. How have you seen him pitch this year, Colby Rasmus?
Breaking balls away, change-ups. Bust him in with a fastball. Up and away with a fastball, trying to chase. Must be ready for that one.
Yeah.
I'm sure he just hasn't seen that many left-handers in the minor leagues.
Two and one.
Let the front shoulder fly open.
Left center, pretty big gap there. They shade him to pull just a bit. They want to see Pujols come up one more time. 3-1. Pitch number 45 upcoming.
Well, Mayhay may be a real Albert Pujols fan. He said, I'll walk Rasmus and then I'll turn it over to Jamie Wright, but he got away with it.
And Rasmus pops it up. We head to the 9th inning. Cardinals have added to their lead. It's 5-0.
Coming up after the game on the post-game edition of U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live. Stavanoa stepping up. We'll have that another day, another great start by the Cardinals starting rotation. Plus, live at Lumiere Place, along with Pat Paris and Jack Clark, Brendan Ryan live in the house. How about that, gentlemen?
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Jim. And the afternoon for Loge is through. And you just see in that shot, he motioned to Tony La Russa saying, I'm all right. So he was hit by that pitch. And his day and afternoon is through, and he'll turn it over to Chris Perez with a 5-run lead. 16th appearance for Perez.
And Perez picked up a save his last time out, getting the final out. And that was back on May 10th. But I mean, he really needs some work, as this string of outstanding starting pitching from the Cardinals has provided a little rust for a few guys.
One pitch, 1 ball, 1 strike. You'd rather have it that way, wouldn't you?
Oh, yes. And so would the bullpen.
The starting rotation has just been remarkable the last 5 days.
Well, the starters were 14 and 2 in the month of April. The Cardinals got off to that good start. Then they start May, where they're really struggling, and had an ERA near 6 until Monday, or after Monday's game. And Cubs come in town on Tuesday, and then Dave Duncan got to see his starting staff start pitching like he thinks they're all capable.
And Perez gets the strikeout to start the ninth. Been one of the great runs in the last few years. These last 5 starts. Pinheiro, complete game. Carpenter, Wainwright, Wellemeyer, Loge.
Yeah, we always
18 hits and the walks only 6.
We always talk about if you can not walk many and keep the ball in the ballpark, you're going to have good success. They've just added, give up a hit every 2 innings on top of that. They have been very, very good during this stretch.
And the 1 run allowed. Fisted out towards center, and Brendan Ryan tried to barehand it.
Well, we've always said he does something a little unusual. Besides going to be on the post-game show.
So he'll be at Lumiere Place. Our Budweiser, great player of the game. Budweiser, the great American lager. Another day, another starter gets our player of the game, and it's Kyle Loge. 8 innings, 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, a la Kevin Mitchell. David Wright did it in San Diego a few years ago, too.
Well, you think about it, the ball's not hit hard.
It's the only way he's going to get it.
Yeah, I mean, to try and backhand that, he's got further reach with his bare hand, and it's easy to catch that ball if you can get to it. Kevin Mitchell's was at the old ballpark down the left field line and kind of lost track of a ball that he thought at one time was going to be a home run. The last second he reaches up and bare hands the catch.
It's still one of the great plays that we saw at the Old Busch Stadium. A 2-0 pitch. 2-1. Edmonds had some great catches. You think of Ozzy's catch going over Kurt Ford. 2 balls and 1 strike. Gained a big lead at first, and finally he's going. Foul back. That's another thing that we always talk about. Why not take second base? You avoid the double play. But he's decided to do this 4 pitches into the at-bat.
Defensively, the Cardinals are going to allow him to go down to second base, have a 5-run lead. Now, an opposing manager will say, well, I'm worried about the line drive double play. And I say, the heck with it. Get yourself in scoring position. Be a slider here, coming in on the lefty.
Not running this time, and a swing and a miss. A strikeout. The other thing is, with the kind of lead he's getting,
they shouldn't have any chance unless you fall down.
Exactly.
There's that slider, and going to make sure you get it far enough in. So he's going to hit the back knee if he takes it. And these fans have been very impressed with the Cardinal pitching staff of late and the timely hitting.
Outside.
And the Royals fans are saying, let's just score a run. Even if we fall short, let's just get on the scoreboard.
One 0 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now it's sizing up to be a pretty nice homestand. The way that it started after the sweep by Milwaukee.
Chance to have a, barring a miraculous come from behind victory here. It looks like they'll have a chance for a 6-3 homestand.
They'll have a chance to go for a sweep tomorrow and a chance to get back to 10 games above 500. 2 balls, 1 strike. No stolen base for Guillen. Next road trip, Milwaukee for 3, off day, and then San Francisco for 3. On the outside corner.
Well, Perez, a lot of times he'll have tailing action on his fastball. So if you can get that run away from a left-hander into a right-hander, and then that slider coming in.
43,000 plus on their feet. Ground ball to Pujols. Backhands it. Tough play. Perez covering first. Back-to-back games. No run scored by the Kansas City Royals. The Cardinals again win it by the score of 5-0. That's 5 straight wins and a chance for a sweep on